This Sunday on Capital Connection, it's the final day at the Illinois State Fair after the top politicians in the state swing through to test their messages heading into a big election year. Plus, he's won his fair share of statewide elections and by a wide margin. We talked with the candidates running to replace Jesse White. Plus, it wouldn't be the fair without farmers. Meet some of the longest running family farms building the backbone of the state's largest industry. It's all coming up on Capital Connection.
From the Illinois State Capitol Rotunda, Capitol Bureau Chief Mark Maxwell is asking the tough questions. This is Capital Connection.
Welcome to Capital Connection. I'm Mark Maxwell reporting from the Illinois State House on this Sunday, August 22nd. This week launched the unofficial start of the 2022 campaign season as top Democrats and Republicans swarmed to Springfield to raise money and expectations about their own electoral victories next November.
And re-electing all of the statewide constitutional officers here on the stage.
And we are going to take back Illinois by taking out the Democrat constitutional officers. Is everybody with us?
Everybody but the candidates. The Illinois GOP has yet to field primary candidates for Secretary of State, Comptroller, Treasurer, or Attorney General, which was the closest Republicans came to winning one of those seats in 2018, when Erica Harold lost to Kwame Raoul by 12%, more than 500,000 votes.
And I try to work with my Republican AG colleagues, but there are some core differences between Democrat attorneys general and Republican attorneys general.
And heading into 2022, Democrats are poised to paint their challengers with the stain of insurrection.
Republican AGs are rallying people to descend on Washington in an insurrection, while Democrat AGs are fighting against misinformation and hate.
Does that January 6th moment still cast a shadow over your attempts to win statewide races as Republicans?
I don't think so. I mean, that was a mistake. It was a bad day, but we're moving on.
But before Republicans can move on and win, they'll have to confront the reality of the 2020 election.
We won the presidential race in Illinois by 17 points.
But it's about winning. It's all about winning.
Jim Durkin said it's all about winning. Who can win statewide? Which candidate?
It's early. The primary's not until June 28th.
So maybe you don't have a name, but do you have a direction? Because there are two thoughts. It's go toward the right, the Trump base, or go to the middle, like the Rauner Republican. Which is more electable?
We're going to have a robust civil primary, and then I'm going to support whoever our nominee is.
Do you think the field is set yet?
The money disadvantage?
Pardon?
I said, do you think the field is set yet?
It's young. It's, as I said before on the stage, that it's early because the primary is, 10 months away?
I mean, do you want the field to expand?
I'm neutral about this. This is a job for the primary voters.
But the primary voters in attendance on the fairgrounds did not get to hear from the three Republican candidates already in the race.
Yeah, and there was a decision by the party.
Darren Bailey, Gary Rabine, and Paul Schimpf.
It's clear that J.B. Pritzker really doesn't think there's any limitations on his power whatsoever.
When we ask party officials, who can win this race, they say just wait, the field will grow. Why aren't they confident that you could be a winner?
Do you feel that way? Do you feel as if party officials don't think that?
The game of politics in Illinois is a strange game. I'm not a career politician. The more the merrier. Anybody wants to run for governor, run for governor.
Former state senator and chair of the Regional Transportation Authority, Kirk Dillard, showed up at the event but hasn't jumped in yet.
What are you waiting for to officially jump in? I mean, how long does strategy become until it turns into lethargy? I mean, you have to have energy to win a primary, and you haven't jumped in fully yet, have you?
First of all, the election is more than a year away. The primary's been pushed back to June. Elections are far too long in the United States. People have election fatigue, and I have a nice life. I'm not one of these individuals that wants to run for governor to be governor. And I had people approach me. This is not something that I thought about. Business leaders as well as political leaders come to me and say, look, you may be the one guy that can win this race, and not only can you win it, importantly, you know how to govern and run the state of Illinois if you get there. So this is not my idea.
You've run statewide before, and it didn't work out well. Why would this be any different?
Well, I'm talking about a general election, number one. So the candidate, in a general, is very different than the one that can win a primary. You've got to run somebody as a Republican in Illinois who can actually win a general election.
Over and over, Dillard repeated the concerns other top Republicans share privately, that the candidates in the field today don't stand a chance at winning statewide.
Do you see any winners in the field of Republican candidates for governor right now?
Well, if the election were today, Governor Pritzker would defeat the candidates for governor.
They're sort of discounting Darren Bailey. They have no idea how angry people really are. And in these type of elections, it's all about intensity.
Yeah, so maybe he can win a primary, but do you think the voters of Illinois in the suburbs really know who he is yet?
I'm telling you, did you think Donald Trump was going to become president of the United States?
Did he win Illinois?
I'm just telling you, don't discount anything. Don't discount anything, Mark. And I'm telling you,
he never came close to winning Illinois.
Well, Mark, at the end of the day, I'm telling you, everybody up there is discounting how angry people are, and people are going to show up and vote en masse.
As they search for candidates who can win, Republican Party leaders voiced their contempt for Democrats who hold those offices today.
And how about that Nancy Pelosi? She just looks younger every day, doesn't she? She's had her face lifted so many times, now every time she crosses her leg, her mouth snaps open. Although she's a little upset right now, last week a peeping Tom threw up on her windowsill. The governor skipped out of the Democratic Party's brunch. You know that had to be difficult for him because, well, brunch. Now with these jokes, I don't want to say that the governor's heavy, but these days all of his infrastructure spending is on belts. Ooh, I got some groans over here.
How do fat jokes about JB and facelift jokes about Nancy Pelosi advance the cause?
I don't like fat jokes. I don't like facelift jokes. I like good political jokes about Republicans and Democrats.
So is that an evaluation?
No, it's not. No, it's not. No. His speech speaks for itself.
If insulting women, if making jokes about sexual harassment, if insulting elderly people is something that, and attacking them, is something that the Republican leadership thinks will win them seats either in the General Assembly or statewide, I think they're sorely mistaken.
Why haven't Republicans won a statewide election in Illinois in 7 years?
The pendulum swung the wrong way, but I think it's swinging back our way.
But the Democrats have a head start. Their ballot already full of incumbents, their campaign coffers flush with cash, and they're prepared with a message that they use their power to deliver results.
Who is fighting to protect the lives and the livelihoods of our fellow Illinoisans during this deadly global pandemic? Over and over, it's Democrats that deliver for the people of Illinois.
The Illinois Democrats like to nationalize their message. We've seen that over the past 4 years. And you know what? We can do the same. So, what have the Washington Democrats done for us? Let's see. Rampant inflation, a serious supply chain shortage in every aspect of our economy, and a continued mean-spirited attitude towards our employers.
I mean, it was a long time ago in the 70s when I moved to Illinois. I remember my parents talking about inflation. I remember them talking about the worst president in American history, Jimmy Carter. Joe Biden said, "Hold my beer."
While Republicans highlight the damage of the pandemic, Democrats highlight the danger of the divisions former President Trump stoked on January 6th.
The former president called a little rally together.
I remember being one of the last people off the gallery floor, running for safety, but then it ended in triumph because we came back to the House floor and we did our job, and Joe Biden is the President of the United States of America.
A president who seeks to unite us and not divide us.
Illinois Democrats invited Georgia Senator Jon Ossoff to headline their brunch, who learned he won his election on that same day, January 6th.
While a violent mob assaulted the U.S. Capitol and our Constitution.
Ossoff and Raphael Warnock flipped Georgia and control of the U.S. Senate from red to blue, giving Democrats just enough power to pass President Biden's American Rescue Plan.
It wasn't one Republican vote that sent the resources back to every state, even though they're taking credit for it because their states and their towns and their mayors and governors are getting the resources too. But please remember that it was us trying to lift people off the carpet, lift people out of their beds, help businesses survive. No one else but the Democrats. Please remember that.
Cash payments to families to make it through difficult times. He put it in what we call the American Rescue Plan, and he brought it to Congress. And do you know how many Republicans voted for the American Rescue Plan? None. Not one. Not one. Why were they preoccupied with other things? Because they're in this world where the big lie is the big deal. And the lie continues, certainly in the mind of one former president, that he actually won the election. Well, he didn't win. The American people won that election, and Joe Biden is our president.
Now, Republicans hope to pin the lingering economic ripple effect from that pandemic on the Democrats in power.
We have an inflation crisis, a border crisis, a crime crisis, and now an Afghanistan crisis.
Congressman Darren LaHood says he plans to seek re-election on the Hill.
Do I wish we were in the majority? Of course I do.
The district he represents now is the second safest seat for a Republican in Illinois. As long as he wins a primary, he's likely to remain insulated from any viable Democratic challenge. Still, he has grand designs for a Republican to win the governor's race here, like they do in other blue states.
I know it's a tough uphill battle in Illinois for governor. Do you know Vermont, Bernie Sanders' home, has a Republican governor? Massachusetts has a Republican governor. Maryland has a Republican governor. We can have a Republican governor in Illinois if they can have it.
But even in LaHood's answer, there are clues on how those Republicans won.
I won't be voting for President Trump.
And where they stand in the GOP divide between former President Trump's far-right base and the more moderate middle. On January 6th, Vermont Governor Phil Scott tweeted, "Make no mistake, the President of the United States is responsible for this event. President Trump has orchestrated a campaign to cause an insurrection that overturns the results of a free, fair, and legal election. And there is no doubt that the President's delusion, fabrication, self-interest, and ego have led us step by step to this very low and very dangerous moment in American history," and punctuated those tweets with this statement: "President Trump should resign or be removed from office by his cabinet or by the Congress." Those same feelings echoed by Maryland Governor Larry Hogan, who says he would have voted to convict former President Trump in the Senate and remove him from office.
It just bothers me that you have to swear fealty to the dear leader or you get kicked out of the party. It just doesn't make any sense.
Also, Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker said he could not vote for former President Trump even before all that during his election against Joe Biden. Only one Republican in Congress from Illinois shares those views, Congressman Adam Kinzinger, who also was not in attendance, on duty with the National Guard. But if you ask Kirk Dillard, that's the message a Republican candidate needs to embrace to win in Illinois.
You have the issue of President Trump and where you are with respect and how close you are to President Trump in a general election, which is could be problematic, especially with suburban women. So there's lots of issues and lots of reasons, but money is also paramount to beat Governor Pritzker.
House Republican leader Jim Durkin did not back any candidates in the governor's race yet, but he revealed his strategy for which voters he thinks they need to win over to win.
Because there are Republicans out there, and there's also disenfranchised Democrats who we are going to bring into the fold. That's why we're going to be successful.
And the party chairman seems to agree.
We need more people in the Republican Party that don't look like me, and we're working on that.
When we come back, he's won his fair share of statewide elections and by a wide margin. But he's winding down his career in the public spotlight. Just who might replace Secretary of State Jesse White? We talked to a number of those candidates on both sides next.